119.
119. Topic? Am I introducing
You're
the
introducing
topic?
it, yeah.
Okay.
I say the number, you introduce the topic.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah. So, okay, the thought process. Here's where it went. We just finished Thanksgiving. So, like a week ago, I guess, almost, a week ago. And so this is what I felt then, but I'm thinking because this is not going to publish until in between Christmas and New Year, I'm assuming, it's going to be continue to happen and amplify even more. And so the topic is, and a lot of people call it choice, and the choice now has come to take on its own meaning. Like, what does it mean to choose now, right? But I noticed the energetic flow of Earth, let's say if we're interpreting Earth as an entity, it has, and I will use bifurcated. But that means like in only as if it was there's only two-way options, and so it's not. But in this case, what I want to say, the bifurcation is for the option in choosing to a lower versus a higher state of vibrational frequency. And so that's the topic. But then how it presents itself is kind of actually what the discussion is. And so we're basically, and whenever I was channeling like more, and now I just channel a little bit here and there, I was told that it is important to be making the choice of higher vibrational or lower vibrational in order to get our entire psyche, our entire field to get used to a direction, right? A general choice into a direction.
Right. Because we're all making that choice, whether we're making it deliberately or subconsciously. So you may as well make it deliberately.
Yeah. But right now, so if we are, let's say in the beginning of December, and this thing is going to publish towards the end of December, right now is going to be a super amplified next, let's say 3 weeks. And I don't know what's going to happen after Christmas, like into New Year, or what's going to happen into after the New Year. So if it will continue or not, I think it will continue, but it will continue in a different way. So the choice in where you place your frequency and how much lower vibrational states you will dive into versus higher will come up for evaluation. So, right. And so like that is super important. As all of these opportunities come forward, you will have an opportunity in each one of the instances to insert either a baseline lower frequency of like fear and unsafety and that, or ascending into higher frequency. But here's the key: through the awareness of the fear and unsafety that you could insert. That's the difference. It's not a matter of choosing La La Land where everything is rainbow butterflies and ignoring the fear and the unsafety. That is
right.
Not the case.
That fear and unsafety is there. It's just whether or not you it's not embrace it. That's the wrong way to look at it. It's whether or not you fall victim to it. You let it run the show.
Well, let it run the show, but here's the key. You actually have to choose a higher path through the filter of the fear and unsafety that you will be triggered into.
Right. Because like that's the reality. There's no getting around that. Everybody has these, fears, unsafeties, anxieties, or whatever that they feel either all the time or based on some sort of external trigger. And, this is the whole message of the whole show is that don't ignore that. Don't pretend it's not there. Don't, just try to magically wish it away. You have to even embrace and accept. Let me reword that. Accept and embrace the that part of you, because otherwise it ends up running the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we just finish the podcast?
The end. Oh, it's nice and short.
It was
This will be nice, easy to edit.
3 minutes. 3 minute podcast. Yeah, no, and so yeah, I say this extremely lightly, knowing that it is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
So you basically will have these huge amount of influxes come up within, next several weeks, if not, several months. Actually, probably into the springtime. And it will just be kind of poking and churning at you. And now, they will not be any different than you have faced before, right? So it's not like all of a sudden there's these new things will start up and they will become, and you will be facing new things. They're actually the same things, but they're coming up for their final round of evaluation in order for you to choose what you do with the repeat of them once again. And it's in that repetition of them coming up and you choosing higher vibratory frequency out of the fear and unsafety that basically you're training your vibratory field in general to ascend up. And so the bifurcation is just simply everyone facing, their shadow, let's say, or their unsafety or their fear or their anxieties or stressors, and recognizing that they are there, welcoming them in a sense that they are your truth, right? Because this is my truth. And then through that going, it's okay. They're my truth. This is the tendency. This is the story. This is a belief system. This is a pathway out of which I have designed comfort and established comfort in. But now I choose to behave like this. But with me, I would say, like, we were joking before this, is like, nobody wants to listen to anything that has you facing your own shadow.
Right. Because that is a heavy responsibility for anyone, especially if you've never done any sort of work, inner work. Right. It's so much easier and more comfortable to just ignore it all. But, and it's like, I knew this to some degree, even for any of our self work, but that there's just, there's something off, there's something not right, there's something, in me that isn't really going the way that I wanted to, but it was just too uncomfortable to explore.
You're literally going into an area that,
right? No,
has felt icky, and you've been trying to run away from your entire life. It's like, right? So you're literally the frequency of Earth is such that it's literally taking you there all the time.
Yeah. So, yeah, right now it is. But yeah, it's so. I don't know if it's just me, or I don't know if it's just modern Western culture, or if it's always been like this, that, people don't want to go there.
Well, I think it's this is interesting. So I started reading a book. I don't actually know who this dude is. So anyway, there was something we were listening to on Gaia about ancient civilization, and the Lion's Path came up. And the guy wrote a lot of things about, like, ascension and transmutation and transformation of humanity. And I'm like, oh wait, I know that we're in that state right now, that we're choosing a different path, right? We're kind of transforming ourselves into a new way of being. And so the choice is, the beings who choose a high vibratory state or state of awareness. It's not a high vibratory state in the sense that it's anything other than awareness, right? It's the gnosis, the knowing. And he references all the Egyptian teachings, and the Egyptian teachings, I have connection to Egyptian teachings just because I happen to remember my Egyptian timeline in Egypt. But anyway, he's all over the place. But this is what stood out to me, and is that as I started to tune into the Egyptian teaching, like the mystery teachings of Egypt, right? Mm-hmm. All of their teachings are simply this of how do you how do you take your psyche, recognize all of your shadows, recognize all of your trapped energies, and choose to face them, and then transmute them, or from the alchemical terms, turn them into gold, and then turn yourself right on that path to where you are using that energy in order to ascend yourself up.
Right. Using it instead of
using that energy,
using it
going
instead
through,
of having it use you or even or drain you or something.
Well, yeah, to begin with, right, when you're firstborn, when you become lost, you think you are separate from yourself, right? Like we on earth gain this disconnection from the knowing. And so therefore we think of ourselves as very individualized beings. And so when we go searching, right, I think I said on a previous podcast, we're actually searching for ourselves. And so the Egyptian mystery teachings, the goal of the Syrians was to make sure that there was this kindling of knowledge that was left there while humanity was diving into the depth of unknowing, right? And so the teachings was, here's who you actually are, but here's the story that you're living. Here's the path that you're choosing to live, right? And those are two separate lines. Like they're actually, what I say bifurcation is because it is a different line of living. Like you have this line that is your earthly interpretation of reality, and you have this other line that is your higher self interpretation of reality. And the higher self is the knowing self. But then, so the goal of ascension, and I don't know if it's the ultimate goal of ascension, one of the steps of ascension is to simply recognize that you are your higher self with all the knowing, and then treat yourself as a being who's choosing to experience different realities in this path.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm rewarding the exact same thing I said to begin with, but from the alchemical, like Egyptian mystery teaching standpoint.
There are a couple things there. Like the conventional understanding of alchemy is that, here's all these crazy people back in the olden days, trying to turn lead or whatever into gold. But in reality, it was all, that was the metaphorical understanding that, we'll just, if we were to just, to transmute base things into valuable things, then that is still accurate, but people will just think it's metal, and nobody can figure it out. And okay, what it is what you said. It's to transmute the base parts of you into higher parts of you. Yeah. Another thing that I was gonna say is when you said like that you can almost use it there. This is a bad analogy, but I'm going to do it anyway. There are all kinds of what people would consider negative emotions or whatever that can be channeled into things. If you're angry, you can make good use of that anger and get a lot of stuff done. Chris Hemsworth, on the first season of Limitless, he was talking about how his I think we mentioned this in the past. His father, at one point, he was talking to his father about the mortgage on their house, and it was like 30 more years to pay it off or something. And he's like, "Oh, when will you have the house paid off?" He's like, "I'll never have the house paid off. I'll die before the house is paid off." And I think they grew up poor as well, and that sense of poverty is still with him today, despite he's, millionaire, dozens, hundreds of times over. He's a, very, very wealthy person, but he still feels like it's all about to disappear, and he's got to get that next acting job. And that drives him to great success, quote, success, monetary success. Sure.
It's the fear,
but
right?
it's all driven out of fear. Yeah. And yeah, money, that's great and all, but is he ever happy? Is he ever not in fear? And I think the whole point of that show is supposed to be that, that he realizes this and maybe does some work around it. But those things can be very effective at driving you.
Yeah, the first 40 years of our life was that.
Yes.
Everything that we achieved,
Yeah.
Whatever that is,
Yeah.
was out of fear.
We did all right out of fear, out of anger, out of whatever. Sure. But looking back, was I ever really, peaceful?
Well, we were scrambling.
We were
when
scrambling.
You're in fear,
right.
You're scrambling.
Right. I don't even want to use the word happy. I want to use the word, was I ever really peaceful?
No, you cannot be at peace if you're actively scrambling, right? And it's interesting. There's this nuance that happens in the human body whenever you actually start giving it space of calm. You start to notice how much of what you think is calm is actually still, in my case, mild, like hyper
low
or
level,
mild,
yeah,
low, mild hyper awareness, which is, I know, weird to say. Always vigilant, always aware, right? Because unsafety is my thing. But then at the same time, like that's the baseline.
Yeah, no, me too. Yeah, I even knew it back in the day, but that I just had some sort of constant low level anxiety, at least, if not high level at times. Just always. And I just assume that this is normal. This is how everybody is. And, okay, that's just
it was shocking.
Par for the course of life on Earth.
It was shocking to start to experience a place like within my body where I'm just am, and there's not an assigned value to threat. And I'm like, holy shit. It is actually quite depressing to begin with, to realize that, to go, oh my gosh, I have been low level, hyper vigilant, aware.
Right.
My slight level, like whenever you do Kundalini or yoga and they tell you like, oh, pull up on your Mula Bandha and then your stomach. And there's this like mild tension, right? The mild tension. So whenever you're breathing, your Kundalini is coming up. I'm like, oh my gosh, that mild pull was just my entire body.
To me, the great example is if you're laying down and you think you're relaxed, tense yourself up really hard for 5-10 seconds and then just relax your whole body. You're like, oh, I wasn't relaxed before that. And in fact, if you can do it 2 or 3 times, and each time you'll be like a little bit more relaxed, and it's like part of me is just always.
Yeah. But it's the physical expression of the emotional state.
Right, physically is, but mentally is.
Yeah.
Even more so.
Yeah. But it's the mental state of unsafety or fear that actually locks up your physical form. I mean, hence like that we have said this many times. That's how all diseases form.
Yeah.
It's just this.
No, I mean, I have gone through so much of my life with this constant like, okay, what's about to go wrong, and how can I mitigate that? How can I predict this, plan for this, arrange my life to minimize this,
minimize threat. Yeah.
Minimize the threat.
Yeah. And the evaluation right now, I think, is that deep down, we're actually all threatened, even if the problem or the issue facing us might not seem like vividly personally threatening, but it's actually threat. It is this mild or visceral interpretation of threat.
Yeah.
And that's what evaluation is your emotional state is constantly evaluating threat assessment.
Yeah. And like I at some point I started justifying it, like, you don't have to be scared. You just have to be careful.
Yeah, there you go. We can talk about that justification, because that's like a whole. Well, it's a whole sales pitch there, right?
What are you going to do? Not put smoke detectors in your house just in case?
In Ukraine, we don't have smoke detectors. In Ukraine, we don't have smoke detectors.
And you're still here. And I have spent so much time over the last. When did we talk about that? Like a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with that, and it's like
maybe give context. I guess we can start. Like if you give context about what that statement is.
Yeah. So
because you like,
I've said this a lot.
I think that was like your mantra. Like I think it was a mantra.
Right. Yeah. So the statement, like you don't have to be scared. You just have to be careful. When I first heard that, it was in the context of like, you don't want to like freak out kids about, kids shouldn't go playing in traffic because they might get hurt. And how do you teach a kid, to be careful of traffic without making them terrified of streets for the rest of their life? And what I read was, you say you don't have to be scared of crossing the road. You just have to be careful when you cross the road. You don't have to be living in fear of, oh my God, the car's going to hit me all the time. You just, you go, you look left and you look right and you look left again and there's no one coming and then you can cross. That was how it was presented to me. And I like that because I'm like, oh, look, here is a way that I can kind of model my life where I'm like, I'm not going to be afraid of it. I'm just going to be, exercise some caution around it. And so I really kind of embraced that.
No, like you made it your mantra.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's like this belief system that gets set in and it has to be propagated with a statement.
Right.
Or an idea or justification. And your statement is that.
Yeah. And it made sense. And, if anything, it helped because I'm like, I don't have to live in fear of whatever. I just, need to exercise some sort of basic level of awareness around it. And then, okay.
But it's not that.
But I don't
have to live in fear. I have to exercise a basic level of fear, a minor level of fear.
Right. And I don't think I thought about it. I think I thought about it as more of like an awareness or
not the type of awareness we're talking about. It's the opposite of awareness.
I think I did use it as a way to pretend that I'm not afraid of things when I'm actually still afraid of things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I've been sitting with that a lot. And it is like, it's one of those things that's like, it feels really dangerous to let it go. It feels like, I can't let that go because then what am I going to do? Not look both ways? I can't let that go. What am I going to do? Not turn the stove off when I leave the house? It's like, which is the wrong way to look at it, but that's where my, logical mind wants to fight tooth and nail to preserve this status quo.
Yeah. So what will happen right now, how this whole thing will unravel, or how the system is going to bifurcate itself, is you will have unlimited amount of reasons and stories why you continue to exist in the same way that you have existed is actually the right thing.
Right.
Like the sales pitch that you will present itself. And in fact, the world around you will present itself in such a way that you will have countless of valid excuses of why you are justified in behaving the way you have always behaved.
Right. No,
which is interesting. Like, it's really interesting because you will be, you will feel threatened more in the exact same way. So therefore, the pattern of operation that you have established in order to mitigate or not feel threatened will be like, well, why would I behave differently all of a sudden? It's like the same threat, if not more. That's how it will feel.
Yeah. No, it's like I can feel the right approach, though I don't think I'm able to put it into words. It's like, if a little kid came up to me and said, "Hey, mister, should I look both ways before crossing the road?" I would say, "Yeah, you probably should." That would be my advice to little kid. But there's something between all of it that's like, gosh, I don't even know how to, like, I can feel what the right approach is on a different level. The right approach is not on this level between being afraid and being careful and looking both ways. And like, in the 3D world, do you need to look both ways? Yeah, I suppose you do. But on the, emotional plane, it's like you're looking both ways because you feel unsafe. That's where the problem is that we're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. The problem of will your physical body get hit by a physical car is here. And it's like, yes, I suppose there are things to do about that. But my emotional body is worried about getting hit by a car is actually the problem. Right? Everybody thinks that the physical body getting hit is the problem. and or this is the same problem. Physically getting hit and being afraid about getting hit are the same thing, and they're not.
Not at all.
And I'm worried I'm going to get hit by a car or get hit by a bus or lose all my money or the house is going to get blown over by a tornado or whatever it is. Everybody's got whatever, that is the problem.
Yeah, that right. In your case, the mantra of you don't have to be afraid, you just have to be careful is you just have to be mildly on your toes.
You just have to be mildly afraid. You don't have to be afraid. You just have to be a little bit afraid.
Yeah, a little bit afraid, on your toes, and always exercising some form of vigilance, like
right.
tension and vigilance.
Right.
Minor tension and vigilance is okay. That mantra was a justification of why the minor level of tension and vigilance and not full peace, not full surrender is okay.
Yeah.
It's actually a justification against full surrender, which I say that to you. I'm struggling with it as well myself, right? Because that's what it comes down to. The point in which you recognize that your fears are, one, unsubstantiated in any way possible, right? It is just solely a child-like fear that is being blown out into an adult playground, right?
Yeah.
And so, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels very visceral and it feels very real. And because the adult problems that you have designed for yourself look legitimate, right? There's like dollar signs all of a sudden are real now. When we were 3, they were not. They were pretend, but now they're real. Do you know what I mean?
They're very important.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like when I was little and I used to play town, like we had a game where we used to play town, we would like draw up fake money. Like we didn't have, Monopoly or anything like that. Like we would actually take the pieces of paper, cut them up to the size, and we would draw money. And there would be like, ones and fives and tens and 20s and 100s and whatever. And then we would set up a town, and then we would there was 3 of us usually, and we would do services. Like I was the bank. Wait, was I the bank? Whatever it was, at the end of the game, I would have the most money. Because I took this game very seriously.
And that's the goal of life. At the end of the game, you gotta have the most money.
To the point where I had the most money, and the next time we would resume the game, instead of drawing up new money, we would just take my money and split it 3 ways in order to start over from scratch. Like,
how fair did that feel?
No, because it didn't. The reset was. Maybe slightly unfair, I guess, technically, because like their money is like pieces of paper, right? So they wouldn't even matter. But to me, it did matter, even this pretend money, the fact, right? And so, so there was a radio station, and you have to pay radio station for this listening of their program. There was a masseuse. You could pay to get a massage. What was it? There was the bank you can go to borrow money. I'm trying to think what other services were there. Whatever it was just like that. That was our game, right? But think about how
many people?
It was just 3. It was 3 of us.
Oh,
but we would have multiple jobs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like so.
Like there's a radio, there's a masseuse, and there's a bank.
Well, no, there were. Yeah, like I don't know, whatever it was, but so it was basically you would rotate. Like, oh, now I'm doing this. You would just out of nowhere, you would just announce that now this is my job. Does anybody want to come and pay me and give me money? And then somebody else would come up with something else. It's actually really cool. It's kind of like what BizTown is.
Yeah.
For our kids have a thing called BizTown, but it's kind of like that.
That sounds like BizTown.
Except that we just came up with this ourselves.
That's cool.
Yeah. But my thought process is, think about that. We made up fake money in order to play in the world of adult-ish behavior.
Yeah.
And that fake money was a game. Because you were like, because it sounds cool to be in this situation where, I might run a massage service, or I might run a radio station, or I might run a bank, or, whatever.
Yeah.
Because that is what adults did. But then as you become an adult, the exact same idea that I run a massage parlor or a bank or a radio station was completely on the different scale. Like how much it didn't matter to how much it did matter changed.
It's all so serious now.
No, it became of utmost importance. It was a game, And then as an adult, it became of utmost importance. And because of our pain body, this arcs back into the Syrian mystery teaching is we come here to play a game, but because the game needs to seem super, super, super duper real, we forget the fact that this is a game. And then we basically start playing the game with all of these offsets. Like, okay, here's the game, but guess what? You're afraid of losing your money, and you're afraid of like other people not liking you, and you're afraid that your business will not grow, and you will be like, branded as a loser for not continuing your radio station to be popular. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because the game cannot be you come in, the radio station is the only radio station, you are the most popular radio station. All of a sudden, everyone wants to hear your jokes and everything that you say. And that is your life, right? You need to introduce challenges in order to make game more exciting.
Yeah.
And so the challenges get introduced through the pain body, because that's what we use to introduce challenges. But then you lose the track of the game. You lose track that you're 3 playing a radio station game, and you think that you're 40 playing a radio station game.
It's really interesting to me that, because I didn't do exactly that, but and I think you've said this too, when you were young, like being an adult sounded great. I couldn't wait to be
because the adults were playing a fun game.
It looked like it. I mean, they've got real money instead of whatever we've got.
The stakes
there are
real.
Stakes. I don't think we appreciated what the stakes were.
No, we didn't, because
we didn't know
as a child, you don't realize the stakes makes it more real.
But, most adults don't want to pretend, kids want to pretend to be adults, but most adults don't want to pretend to be kids.
But the adults are kids. They just forgot that they're kids.
But I think that's a little sad that we aren't trying to be more, like, I think Jesus literally said that we should be more childlike.
Well, no, but
I think that's what he means.
Yeah. The point of self is to come here, descend into a denser frequency where the experience is visceral. Like, I say this because I remember my descent from a higher vibrational state into a 3-dimensional state. It is a visceral experience. You believe the shit out of it. It is super duper duper important. The little pieces of paper or the credit cards or your bank statements are super important.
I think if I had to sum up like Alan Watts's general philosophy, it's don't be so serious.
No, but it's serious because we want the stakes to seem real.
Right. I mean, let me expand on that. Don't be so serious because realize it doesn't really matter.
No, it's a game. We just
realize
forgot that
it's a game. It doesn't really matter, and don't be so serious about it, and have more fun. Otherwise, be more childlike.
Yeah,
you can still go work at the bank or whatever. That's fine. That's irrelevant as far as this goes. You can work at the bank and not take it seriously. You can be wildly successful and not take it seriously. There are plenty of people who actually do that. Maybe not that many, because most people do take it very seriously.
I don't know anybody who does. Like, I mean, let's be honest. To some point, the second you recognize any of this, you don't really want to take anything seriously.
Right. But I mean, successful doesn't necessarily mean monetarily successful. There's, the, is it John Robbins, the Baskin Robbins son?
Mm-hmm.
I don't, he passed up the $1 billion Baskin Robbins fortune because he just didn't want anything to do with that and went off to live a different type of life.
Yeah.
And, is he, I think he was successful, right? In that
I'm not saying success is driven by money.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. So there are people who have, he wrote books. The book was seems to have been well received. Does he have money? I don't know, probably, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I think you are measuring still success against the social construct.
What we reword success into happiness. Is he content with life? Is he happy? Is he peaceful? He seems more peaceful than most people.
Yeah, I mean, he's aware.
Yeah. So in that dimension, I would say he's successful.
Yeah.
Right. No, is the neurotic, bank manager who's always afraid that everything's going to fall apart, but he's got a lot of money. Is he successful by, most people's standards? Yes, but I wouldn't trade my life for that in a heartbeat at all.
Yeah. I mean,
that sounds awful.
Yeah, but just one, realize the success is a social construct.
Yeah,
right?
I shouldn't have used the word success. I should have said happiness or peacefulness or something like that.
Just if you come into the world and you're a child and you go into a gameplay of town and you choose to run businesses or you choose to participate in businesses, right? If you choose to take on, go get your nails done or go to the movie theater or go to a restaurant, all of those things are you participating in life under the construct of you as an identity of, let's say in my case, Tanya, right? And that is literally what life is just about. It's just me participating in life under the measurement structure of me as an entity I call Tanya. How I participate in that life is derived from the measurement of me as Tanya. Like measurement is almost like this box of definitions, box of outlooks, box of opinions, right? And that box, in order to make things interesting, has to have like not 100% of things just given to you. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to experience worth through challenges and mishaps and like lessers than, right? Because if you're supreme being and you can manifest reality, there's not much experience there.
They're like games that are just too easy aren't fun. There are plenty of games that I've played that I'm like, okay, well it's too easy. There's no challenge. There's no
goal.
There's no without any sort of challenge there. You don't get any sort of, maybe it's just dopamine. I don't know, reward out of it. So it's like, it's boring.
Yeah. And so our belief system of the lesser vibratory state of lesser than fear, unsafety, stress, anxiety, anger, fury, judgment, all of those things are designed as inserts to start nudging off fulfillment or success or peace or tranquility or really unlimited abundance. That's what at the end, like, our higher self and then above is just pure abundance. There's no such thing as lack. And so we have to have some sort of nudges to nudge off pure abundance. And our belief system programmed itself in such way that, it can be 100%. How we're going to start removing these percentages.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So we're triggered right now into the choice of how do I come around, one, into gnosis or full awareness. Go ahead.
But we get it all, but we get it all wrong because we think that the way to that is through more money or more stuff or whatever.
We want is gnosis.
I believe that's, do you think that's what everybody wants? I think everybody wants peace and happiness, but I think a lot of people are misguided in what they think will get them that. I know I was.
Peace and happiness. Yeah, I mean, peace and happiness, yes, I'm trying to think.
It's like,
what does
I think
if
you picked 100 people and you said, do you want peace and happiness? I think probably everybody would say yes. Who doesn't want peace and happiness?
But at some point they would say, I want to know how to achieve peace and happiness.
I think that's advanced. I think if you then asked 100 people, what would make you peaceful and happy? I think most of them would say,
it's
money,
whatever their pain body
love,
is. Yeah, your pain
stuff,
body.
You would say, house, a fancy car, a good title, a good whatever.
But all of those things are actually the pain bodies that are there to tick off the 100% to 20. Do you see what I mean? You're at perfect level of abundance, your perfect level of wholeness, right? And you come into this life, you reincarnate, and something needs to take the wholeness away. And your pain body is in traumas on our end, on safety and fear and whatever, not being lovable, being bad, whatever those flavors are. We spent last 2 years talking about that. are there to tick away the 100%. It's just like, okay, let's erase this portion, erase this portion, and there's this portions. And so then you think, in order for you to feel abundance, you actually need to fill in these little sections right here.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. The sections are already filled in. You have a perception of a limited way of being within the chosen identity of me as Tanya.
Yeah.
As Tanya, I chose to come here with a set of limitations that cause these sections to be erased or perceived to be erased, discolored or nicked, turned off, nicked off. And so then the journey is, for the first 40 years, when you don't know, and the chase is not to do anything. It's not to get more money. It's not to be more lovable. It's not to be more successful. It's not to be anything more. It's to get those things to appear back. But you don't know that, right? You don't know that, like, oh, the goal is for me to restore the less than 100%. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to reverse, right? The choice. When you're making a choice into a higher form of awareness, you have to recognize what's causing you to be in a lower state of awareness. But to get to the higher state of awareness, you have to go through the lower state of awareness, which causes you not to be at a higher state of awareness.
Right. Back to how we opened it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to loop back. The visceral experience in the lower vibratory field is very real, because those nicked off sections, those percentages off, actually do not add up to 100, which is what a higher state of awareness is if you loop your way through the lower states of awareness. Does that make sense? I don't know if, like, I'm getting like this whole picture in my head right now of like how it works mechanically. But that's how it works, right? You are less than, you are not at 100%. Let's say it's because you're not happy or whatever. Then at some point, you don't even know why you're not happy. Let's say you identify, oh, it's because I'm not lovable. So then not lovable becomes a thing that you don't have. And so the second you don't have, it's almost like you take the, if let's make it easy. If you section off your life in 10 equal pieces, not lovable, let's say, takes up 20%. Right? 20% of your problem is me not being lovable. So that's 2 sections turned off, like 2 tens turned off, right?
Okay.
And so you're like, oh, the second I feel enough shit to offset the fact that I don't feel lovable, I will reach 100% because these 2 sections will get turned off, right?
Sure.
Or turn on, right? And so you're just chugging and chugging and chugging to get these 20% on, right?
Right.
But as soon you realize, oh wait, my happiness is actually me not lovable, and me chugging is never going to be chug, because the actual idea of not being me being lovable is the switch.
That's there you go.
The actual idea that I need something is the switch of the 10% and another switch of the 10%.
Before you realize that, you're stuck in that
filling. You're stuck in filling.
Right. And it's,
it's an endless void.
It's an endless void. It's like the hedonistic treadmill type thing where it's never enough. It doesn't, if it's love, if it's money, if it's status, whatever it is, it's never enough. You can be the richest person in the world, the most successful, the biggest, it doesn't matter. It's never enough. You need that second Super Bowl ring or the third Super Bowl, whatever it is. You got to have the most. And even when you have the most, it still doesn't do it. Yeah. Because the problem isn't that you don't have enough of whatever, love, money, success, whatever. That isn't the problem. The problem is that you think you need that in the first place.
Yeah. Or
you think that is lacking in the first place.
Yeah.
Depending on how you want to view it.
Yeah, it's you turned that off. You think it's lacking because you chose to turn it off.
Turned it off, right.
But within that, I want to point out there's this surrendering of responsibility to somebody else. Somebody else took the love away.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of our time believing that somebody else decided to turn off these 2 circuit breakers and you not having the 20%.
Yeah, for a lot of things. It's like, why don't I have the title? Well, because the boss won't give me a promotion or whatever. And maybe that's a contrived example, but
but why? Because I'm not lovable, because this person's not giving me love.
Yeah.
How much of your life have you spent there?
A lot.
This person is responsible for me feeling loved, and they're shitty ass, so they're not giving me love.
Right? Yeah. And so it is a whole, a lot of it, maybe, I don't know if it's all of it, but a lot of it is externalized into, if only they would be different, then I can be fixed.
Yeah. So, but I want to say, again, zooming out, in order to have a visceral earth experience, if right away you realize that you're responsible for these circuit breaker turnoffs, you'd be like, oh, well, fuck, I'll just turn the circuit breaker back on and I'm lovable.
Yeah.
You're not having a visceral earth experience.
Right.
So,
but you'll have a peaceful earth experience.
Yeah, but if you came here for visceral, right?
Well, like, I mean, I'm halfway through the Tantra book, but he talks at length about how nobody really comes here fully awakened from the start, or if we do, we maybe if we do, we very quickly lose it.
We come here not to be awakened,
and so
or to pretend not to, to pretend not to be awakened.
The process of going through the funk in order to come out the other side is what makes for a, rich life.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is true. I mean, if someone doesn't have the, I don't want to say negative, but it doesn't have all that experience in the funk. Oh my gosh, why won't you love me? Why don't I have money? Whatever it is. If only I had this and this and this. And, you can use that to spiral into depression. You can use that to, achieve great success in business or in Vince, whatever. You can use that. You could. You can use that to transform your life too. To go, this isn't to realize nothing is working. Is there a different path? That maybe the path is, maybe I'll turn on the switch that makes me feel unlovable. Turn off to where I no longer feel, whatever, you know what I mean? And then maybe you do finally reach some level of awareness, and you're like, but having had the past of unawareness, A, you can appreciate the awareness a whole lot more, and B, maybe you can help spread it. I don't know.
Well, no, the reason why you say help spread it, so I don't know if this, I'll just say it. Earth system as a whole, remember I said this a couple of years ago, but this is where it comes in, is a cyclical lesson into allowing more souls, right, and more systems. If each soul is a system, kind of like each soul is kind of its own system, to come in, experience lesser than, and in the choice into going through the lesser than and then activating their full potential, it increases the net energy potential out of each expression of self. And so the propagation of the universe, the propagation of Earth, is to grow its net energy potential. We're not expanding, but we are expanding within. Remember the thing you told me that when the universe grows, it doesn't actually grow like the way that human being thinks it grows. It actually grows from within. Like the space itself expands from within.
Expands, which still hurts my brain.
But in order for the space itself to expand, we have to come in with, let's say, net amount of gigawatts or whatever. Pretend like we don't have this net amount of gigawatts in order to come back into the circuit. The dip in and the rise up causes the gigawatts to be bigger. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So everything is electric, everything is electromagnetic, and the input of our system dictates how many gigawatts you are able to increase within your purpose as a human soul reincarnated into three-dimensional space. And the three-dimensional space is the easiest place to increase the gigawattage from the net in to the net out, right?
Yeah.
So consciousness should be looked at as an electric possibility, potential of an increase. We come here to increase the electric potential. Like, I know this is way, way out there, but that is actually how it's working, right? So we come here to experience less than. So when we go through the loop processes of an increase, it multiplies a lot. So that universal growth, the expansion of consciousness, the electric potential per soul is huge. But like, I want to say that, like, to begin with, I thought, oh my gosh, this sounds like totally, like, one sounds semi-matrixy, which made me feel uncomfortable, right? It sounds like free will inhibiting, which I have a huge problem with it. So it sounds like it's all these things, but now I've come to realize, no, like, that is quite literally all of our choice into our assignment into the experience that is Earth, right? Our experience of Earth is, here's what my electric potential is. Here's how I experience self. The only way I can experience self more while I'm whole is to grow more wholeness. And to grow, right? But if you're already whole, how can you experience yourself more? No, you grow more wholeness.
Right. I mean, that's
like, that is revolutionary as far as I think, like, if anything gives you ultimate amount of power and responsibilities to realize that that is actually what we're doing.
Right. Like, there's this concept of like a zero sum game where it's like, well, if there's $10 here, if you have 8 of them, I can only have 2 of them at most. And that's just it. There's only 10, no more than 10. Right. But, love certainly is not a zero sum game. It's like, it's not like there's, well, I've only got such and such slice of the pie. The pie gets bigger.
Yeah. We don't understand.
Like, when you have, go from 0 kids to 1 kid to 2 kids, it's not like, oh, well, I love my first kid less because I had a second kid. No, the pie just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah, but
we don't fundamentally get that.
We don't understand that. No.
And I think that,
but we don't understand it on purpose so that we could understand it. So we could go from wholeness to more wholeness.
So many things in the 3D world feel like they're zero sum games. But
it's the choice into the circuit breaker turn off of lesser than.
But like, even like, from a economic scale, money itself isn't a zero sum game. You can,
Well, I mean, you and I just been talking. We watched that Johnny Harris thing on like wealthy people, and there's somebody else that we just watched that did the exact same thing. Johnny Harris did that, and somebody else talked about money. Whatever it was, but the idea is, if your goal is to have money, even infinite amount of money is not enough money.
Right.
Like
the crazy wealthy, the tens of billions, hundreds of billions
are still playing in the lesser than game of money.
Right, because they want to avoid paying taxes, and how can I, make sure that it grows, and I want to pass it on to my children, and
like, the game never changes.
To me, if I lose $100, yeah, that sucks. But to them, that's like if they lose money, that's this is devastating. They have to, now they have to hire all these people to protect it, and it's like,
yes.
It's this weird more money, more problems thing, because it's like, and they get paranoid, and now we got to build bunkers
and security. But this is what I want to say is, if somebody watches that, and I would advise people to watch that through the lens of, once you enter into the gameplay of money, then you are in that game. Mm-hmm. Once you enter into a gameplay of I'm not loved, then you are in that game. And that game only has one input and one output. Here's 0 and here's infinity. But that's one trajectory. And it doesn't matter where you are from 0 to infinity. Like, Elon is going to be the richest man in the world here in a little bit.
He already is. He's going to be the first trillionaire.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. But Elon is in the same game. Somebody who has $0 right now and has that $0 mattering to them is in the same game as Elon, who has however many zeros.
About $500 billion.
Whatever it is. What I'm saying is, each line of human exploration is a game that is a linear progression from X to Y. And the only way for you not to play that game or not to lose the game is not to play the game. The only way for you not to play the game is to actually realize that it is a game that you could dive into playing.
Yeah.
Now, I
think War Games was ahead of its time. The only way to win is not to play.
No, but
or at least play it realizing it's a game.
No, but the second you pause and you realize what game you're in, this is where the Kabbalion comes in. Then you are on the higher plane of awareness, overlooking your choice into this game, and then you are at 100% already. This is what I want to say. I will not point out any specific people here, but some people who are in the game of money are not in the game of money. They're in a game of, I'm at the 100% full awareness, and I choose to participate in this line of human consciousness. But they are not at the zero or infinity or lesser than or more than. They are not participating in the line of work where anything matters.
Right.
They're not drowning, or they're not winning, or they're not losing, or they're not losing sleep over it, or they're not like celebrating the wins.
Which interestingly opens up the universe to deliver.
Yes, obviously on the side note.
Side note, yeah.
Yeah, side note, you actually are at infinity, and that infinity will never be anything less than infinity, because you are at the 100% of wholeness within your greater self-awareness, right? And you're just realizing, wait, I'm at 100% of wholeness, and this is just a game, and I'm inserting true frequency of truth. And so this is kind of like the secret. The second you decide to insert a frequency of truth into any gameplay that you choose to dive into, you are in fact inserting complete wholeness into that line of observation or into that line of game. And then there no outcome can come out of that aspect other than the wholeness that you inserted in. Do you see what I mean? Like how the universe works is, if something is whole, because everything is whole, and you are allowed to be whole by its natural progression of things, mm-hmm. and you don't do the circuit shots off of three-dimensional rudimentary density, and you just allow it to be whole, you cannot change the state of that matter, right? Like you cannot change its quantum positioning.
Right.
Because quantum positioning is in line with wholeness, and wholeness is only in line with wholeness. So the only way we are experiencing less than wholeness is if we dive into a denser interpretation of an offshoot where we have these abilities to turn off circuit breakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, I know that is probably the most rudimentary way to look at a human experience, but I think it's the easiest way to feel empowered and actually see yourself for what you are.
Yeah, because at some point, our soul came here and said, it'd be fun. Let's flip off half these circuit breakers and see what this is like.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And then we go through life going, oh my God, but I don't have any money and nobody loves me. And it's like, yeah, because that was the game you picked. You designed this, on, off, on, off, on.
Yeah.
And you're like, this will be fun. Let's give this a whirl.
Yeah. Let's give this a whirl. And then ... The second you pass three-dimensionality, you forget that that's the case.
Yeah. Right.
And you then deem somebody else responsible for your lesser than. Because if you come here and you remember that you are in charge and you can undo this yourself, mm-hmm. that like defeats the purpose of prolonged time and space experience. Yeah. So you have to deem others to be the anti-Christ in order for you to be at the lesser than state. You have to surrender your sovereignty into someone else.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if all points I'm walking around going, oh my gosh, it sure does suck that I'm so unlovable, but I guess it is my responsibility. So at any point I can choose to be lovable, but it sure does suck that I'm not. Like that doesn't make the game real.
Right.
Right.
Well,
like
that's not even realistic, because if once you realize that it's under your control, you're not going to continue to wallow in it.
Yeah. Like it breaks the game.
Yeah. There was some game on the phone a couple years ago, and there's a bunch of numbers, and then you have to like connect the 1 and the 1, and that makes a 2, and then you connect the 2 and the 2, and it makes a 4, whatever it is, and you just keep joining numbers. And
we found so there's 4 of us, and it was like during winter break, so we had a lot of time.
Or was it COVID or something? I don't know.
Maybe it was COVID. And one of our kids found it, and we're all like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool!" So all 4 of us started playing.
Yeah. And so we're, and it's like, you can do better at the game by like, oh, I can get a combo of 5 or whatever. But at some point,
we Googled it.
No,
I think we Googled it.
I just looked and I realized there will always be some join possible on the screen. The game will make sure that it never ends.
Well, no. At some point, we ended into trillion. Like some of our numbers were into trillions.
Yeah, you just keep getting another 0 and another 0 and another 0.
Yeah. And no, we did Google, is game finishable? We did Google that.
Maybe, but
like a day into it though. Like we spent a whole day.
But at some point I realized that it doesn't, whether maybe it was Googling, the game doesn't end. There is no, and to me, I'm like, okay, the game has been solved. I understand the completeness of the game. I have a 100% overview of this game. I can keep going and joining numbers, but it immediately lost its appeal. I'm like, okay, this is stupid now. There's no challenge. It just, okay, I never want to play this game again. It's just pointless.
Yeah.
It was fun when I thought that it was a thing. And then once I realized that there was no challenge there.
There's still a challenge.
I guess
there's still a challenge.
It could be challenge.
You can convert more things into trillions and then whatever.
Yeah, but then it's just, if you're just getting it faster. I thought it was like, there's some game, what is it? Like Block Dooku, where if you can mess up and the game's over. Like, I thought like, oh, you could work yourself into a position where you can no longer join anything, and then you have a score, and you got to get the higher. Okay, can I get a higher score or whatever?
But that's lesser than.
Yeah, but once I realized that this is not
there's no lesser than.
Right, this is just a endless. It literally does not end.
Yeah, there's no challenge.
Then I'm like, okay, this is.
There's no way of losing.
There's no way of losing. There's no way of winning. Maybe it's also how I looked at it. I don't know.
That's the whole. Right. That's the whole purpose of coming here in a 3-dimensional space as a soul, to experience something.
Yeah. So maybe this isn't a perfect metaphor, but once I had a realization, I'm like, I no longer want to play this game.
Well, no. A perfect metaphor. What is the evaluation there, right? Because think about it. If you are unlovable, and that's the truth, like that is your designation, there's always something to do to make it seem like you have love. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
If you are not enough, there's always something to do to prove to somebody that you are enough, or yourself, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the second you enter an idea into the concept is, no, I am enough, and have always been enough, and there's no such thing as a concept of not enough. That's not what is there to do there?
Yeah. Right. So, yeah. So maybe it's an all right analogy. Then.
No, because I thought of it too, right? That was an example of something that there's no stakes. Earth,
there's no stakes. Right. There's no stakes. I want to play it faster. I want to play it slower, I guess, but it lost all.
Because you want stakes. But think about the evaluation there is, you want to have it be challenging, where you have to continue to prove yourself that, oh, here's how I gain love.
So maybe it's an example in the opposite sense of where I was going with it.
No. It's the example of a preference in what kind of system you want to be in.
Right.
In your case, you want to be in a system where there are visceral stakes, or I could be dead, or I could be alive. I could be hit by a bus, I could not be hit by a bus. I could be lovable, or I could be unlovable.
Right.
I could be not enough, or I could be enough.
Right.
You want the dualistic split. You want the stakes to be high.
Okay,
Why people come here is because they want the stakes to be high.
There you go. So,
and we're lost in those stakes.
This is an example doing the opposite of what I originally thought I was going to do. I was originally wording this as like, And so now I don't play the game and I've risen above it. But
you thought because
it's actually the opposite. It's like, the game I lost interest in the game because there was no challenge. There was no winning. There was no losing. There was no point to it anymore.
Well, because the duality wasn't split.
Right.
Yeah. Which is,
it wasn't fun anymore.
Because there's no threat.
Yeah.
There's no
threat. There's no threat, challenge, whatever. Yes.
This is why I want to highlight of why we're so married to choosing a lesser than path and responding from a lesser than standpoint, because we feel more alive. We came here to feel alive in the lesser than. Do you see what I mean? So whenever you have to choose a higher form of awareness or higher form of expression, you have to go, yes, I have come here to choose lesser than. I have spent 40 years responding out of that lesser than standpoint, but now I choose to see that is the game I used to play and respond from a different place of being, which is wholeness and an open heart, which is not at all something that we have ever practiced. So the road to choosing is very, I want to say, honestly, it is very difficult because we have programmed ourselves, we have addicted ourselves, we have really, really come to love the victim, the lesser than, the threat, the visceralness of Earth a lot. Like we want it to be visceral.
Yeah.
That is hard. Like, when I told you, like, you use that mantra of you don't have to be afraid, you just have to be careful. Mm-hmm. Like that was your sales pitch into continue to be visceral.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But it's hard to be peaceful, truly peaceful and content and happy in that visceral experience. Like the visceral experience, it can be fun, but you can also have fun above it. You can have fun. You can have fun playing the game from above. I think you can probably have more fun playing the game from above than you can from being from, oh my God, I'm in it.
No, but that's the choice. Right now, we're choosing. The bifurcation is there will be a group of people who have reached awareness of what they were doing here. And through that doing, choose to expand their own consciousness into a progression of a new game level. I'm not trying to say a higher level. I'm just saying different. And then there will be a group of people who will, all kinds of level.
Double down on it.
Double down. So they want the visceral, they want the blindness, they want the unease and the drowning. I say that because to me, I know that all those things, I have negative connotation to them because I've trained myself to see through it in order to be able to ascend higher. But a lot of the people who will choose lack of awareness and all of that want to continue to participate in the lesser than. Do you see what I mean? And so the choice right now, like, to some extent, it's almost irrelevant because those who are choosing, maybe this would be useful for the people who are choosing a higher path of ascension and to understand why others might be choosing to stay. Mm-hmm. Right. Because that's more difficult to understand.
Yeah. That, and just to, reiterate that there is a higher path too.
Or maybe how you can look at the whole scenario of bifurcation if you're choosing a path of ascension, not ascension. Like this has nothing to do with heaven or hell. This is not a religious standpoint. It's just you're entering into a different game system.
Yeah.
So how somebody can choose to enter into a different game system, or somebody chooses to stay in the current game system in order to reinforce the more visceral input of it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's what the bifurcation is.
Yeah.
I say that, realizing it is when you're in it it is really difficult to see that there's any other way.
It is so hard.
And unless you start to overlook it from this standpoint, and there's all kinds of ways to overlook it. You can look at it from the electromagnetic standpoint. You can look at it from the religious standpoint. You can look at it from like mystery teaching standpoint. All of those stories, like all of these ways of looking at it, are simply there as like reminders of this is what it is. But I'm just summing it up and kind of like trying to marry all these teachings together. But yeah, there's obviously huge amount of real, I say real, I put it in quotes, that it feels like whenever you are unloved and whenever you are without money and whenever you are homeless on the streets and whenever you are, dying from cold, like visceral human experiences. But like, I want to say ... If you look at it through this lens, you are always in sovereign space to come here to have that experience. And so that sovereignty is a choice. We might pretend to surrender that choice and we feel disempowered and not sovereign, but it's actually a choice. Yeah. Deep down, your higher self is choosing that, but you are your higher self. You're not separate from your choice. Do you see what I mean? So your lower self can understand that and go, wait, do I want that choice forward? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the choice. The bifurcation is, we're kind of like right there at the precipice. We have been on the precipice for quite some time, like because we have been building up to this huge frequency adjustment. But over the last, several weeks or months, like it is kind of locking itself in place. Like it's not like baby segment. There's no longer baby segments. It's just flips now. Like those circuit breakers, they're coming to an end game of on or off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I can feel it.
And no, I think later, it's almost like if you can think about it, you feel like you're driving down the road and you come to a cross section of a whole bunch of circuit breakers, and you could choose to flip off on all of those circuit breakers right now. That is where we are. We're at this pivotal point where we're bifurcating, because we're at the crossroad of those circuit breakers being available to be flipped on or off. But I want to say that cycle comes into reiteration many times over. Now, I don't know if it's like the golden age, which is 26,000 years. If is that 26,000 years each, or the entire cycle is 26,000 years?
A precession?
Yeah.
The whole thing's 26,000.
Okay. So that's time and space also from the human interpretation.
Like
so it's different.
2,200 years each?
Yeah. So, like but each rotation, you come across the circuit breaker area, right? Like you come across, like you're driving down the road and then like, there's like a tunnel. And then all of a sudden you're outside of the tunnel. And then like you have a choice of whether the lights are on or off in the next tunnel. You can pull off the road and you can turn your circuit breakers off or on. And then you can decide if whether or not you're driving in the dark or you have the lights on. This is too metaphorical now. Right. But we're coming at a crossroad to the next section. And a lot of us are choosing the circuit breakers. Right.
That's a good one. Does
that make sense?
You can decide, this next section, I want to be in the light, or I want to be in the dark.
Or which
per section.
Per section.
Yeah.
Per section. Yeah. Right. Per section. Right. But this is infinite. This is an infinite loop. Like, so most of us will have these circuit breaker stations before each tunnel. Again, that choice will be there again, right? I don't know how. I have not read into it how often. I don't know if the 26,000 year precession or not is part of it. I think that is a human interpretation of it. So I think like reiteration of it is different on the cosmic, like universal consciousness level. But it is basically, from the universal expansion level, it is a point where universal consciousness has reached enough electromagnetic input to where it will do that Like it will go from here to there. And then you can choose if you're staying here and continue to build another level of electromagnetic charge in order to do another one of this, or if you're over here and you have built up enough charge, and then you're going to do this, and then you're expanding with the new expanded version of this in order to do that. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. And then my mind is like, it's also like, because I have like these like visual inputs that are given to me.
Yeah. No, it's I mean, it's the same with me. It's like there's things that make sense, or at least I can feel, but I don't know how to, I don't even know.
Well, no, so yeah, usually with me, like the metaphors are
circuit breakers,
tunnels and circuit breakers and loops and circles and this, which, but I mean, that's that. Like, I think I find it magical because in some way it is this greater universal knowledge, right? That is like bigger than life itself to me. And yet, like, I take it into my 3-dimensional form and I try to explain it with circles and tunnels and lights and circuit breakers.
I love me a good metaphor. I always want to turn things into metaphors because that helps. I mean, I think it's a good way to communicate it because I like hearing them, but it helps me understand it better.
No, and like I say it's a metaphor, but it's actually like taking the universal knowledge and cramming into a human concept that we would understand of like circuit breakers on and off.
It's like a car. It's like the standard metaphor. It's like a car.
Oh, oh my gosh.
Car metaphors?
Don't even get me.
On car metaphors?
Well, last time we heard the car metaphor was when Preston Plays was on that podcast, and that rubbed me such a wrong way that I can never, don't even bring up the car metaphors. There's still a line in which I'm participating in.
I had forgot about that, but like that's the joke, is that every metaphor turns into a car metaphor. The business is like a car. I guess that was the metaphor, wasn't it? Business is like a car.
Well, no,
we don't have to go.
A world is
like a car.
No. Our world is electric. Like
okay, so it's like a Tesla then.
Shut up. I love the Tesla, but it is electric, okay? And our functionality is a net electric potential. Like we grow ourselves through electromagnetic, like electricity, piezoelectric input, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so our expansion of consciousness is done through expansion of input. But the expansion is done, like on Earth, like, right? Every single system that we have designed on Earth is just a reflectory nature of, as above, so below, as reflectory nature of like how the universe works. Well, in order for the system to grow, you basically have to have input, and then, how rockets work. And then if you have enough input, and then you're like, oh, you hold it together, and then all of a sudden you open the valve, you go poof. Like we're idiots. The only way we can get rockets to work right now is just that is the only thing we know. If you like dam something up enough and enough pressure builds up there, when it explodes, it goes boom. Which is, the universe works that way. So if enough of our soul self becomes pressurized enough under the lesser than inputs of like, I'm unlovable, and then there's the pressure, and I am not loved enough or not worthy enough, or I'm unsafe, right? There's all this pressure. And enough of that pressure, and then the right choice, looping back into the podcast theme, right? The right choice will take that energetic potential and then go boom. And the boom is expansion of your personal consciousness that is actually part of the cumulative consciousness that is the place where Earth is right now, and it's going to go boom. Not explosion boom, but expansion of consciousness boom.
Yeah.
And then it just like bloops up to the next level, which is my Syrian term of blooping, right? So we will bloop into a different simulated reality where we have larger expansion of consciousness, and then the games that we play are with larger amount of awareness.
Yeah.
I have designed a whole other metaphor now. Like the more we will continue this podcast, the more metaphors I will design. Actually, not the metaphors, but the stories a little bit just grow. But like, it helps me, I guess, understand it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I think it's super useful.
Yeah. Anyway. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.